Prioritizing the Mind will constitute of a series of events that will share tools and strategies and facilitate dialogue on avenues to achieve focus, clarity, and calmness of being and thought. Today's webinar on mindfulness will provide background to the concept and application of simple techniques to achieve a sense of peace and stillness of mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please keep writing material on hand for today's session. We are delighted to have Professor Savira Ramlal with us here today. Professor will provide a background on mindfulness. Savira Ramlal, an associate professor in psychiatry at the University of KZN, heads a specialized psychiatry hospital in Durban. She offers limited private consultations and is the immediate past president of the College of Psychiatrists of SA. Prof has 3 decades of experience in clinical services, undergraduate and postgraduate medical education, research, and working with NGOs. And she has been published in scientific journals, written book chapters, and co-edited Talk Therapy Toolkit, a primer for counseling and psychotherapy. Empowerment, her book on how to build mental and emotional resilience, was launched at the 2023 Durban International Book Fair. Her special interest is in spirituality and mental well-being. As we move through our session today, I ask that you please type your questions in the chat box, and they will be taken after Prof's session. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Shruti, for that welcome. And I'm going to proceed with sharing my slides, and we will get going. Okay, so in the interest of bandwidth, I am going to switch off my video for the duration of the talk. All right, so Prem Namaste and a very good morning to each one of you. Congratulations to the Arya Samaj Women's Forum for creating this platform, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to spend a few moments with you this morning. Now, in 10 minutes, you will hear about what mindfulness and meditation are and how we can use these practices to achieve inner and outer peace. Peace refers to the experiencing of tranquility and serenity. It refers to freedom from any inner disturbance, especially in the midst of outer disturbance. Importantly, nothing can bring us peace. It has to be earned through our personal effort. The world peace that we all yearn for can only be achieved when we cultivate peace within ourselves while engaged actively in our mundane human lives. So hopefully you will be inspired to practice what you learned today. So this is an overview of the content that I will be covering during my presentation. So irrespective of our religious or spiritual beliefs, we are all spiritual beings subject to natural and spiritual laws. The soul or astral body is a unit of energy which inhabits and powers the physical and human body. Our essence is energy, and Einstein himself declared that even matter is energy vibrating at a very low frequency. A simpler analogy we can relate to is that we are the battery, not the bunny, because at death, the battery with its energy departs, and it is only our inert body that lies in state at the crematorium. Now, we all know how our electrical lights are dimmed, or we have a total collapse of the grid when we draw more energy than we have at our power stations, and how the crisis is exacerbated when Eskom has not maintained its reserves. Similarly, we as human beings are constantly overloading and depleting our human energy circuits, while also not replenishing our stores, largely due to poor lifestyle choices. In addition to our energy crisis, we are experiencing a time famine. Such is our state of perpetual busyness that we have no time to rest or recharge. Busyness has become our business, and burnout has become the modern-day epidemic. Burnout, even though it is not a medical disorder, is recognized by the World Health Organization as a syndrome characterized by feelings of, surprise, surprise, energy depletion and exhaustion. This is where mindful and meditative practices can offer both economical and effective solutions to our energy, health, and time crises. Now, the Sanskrit term for mindfulness is sati, meaning a lucid awareness of what is occurring. Mindfulness is the practice of maintaining a non-judgmental state of heightened or complete awareness of one's thoughts, emotions, or experiences on a moment-to-moment basis, or simply focusing your mind, emotions, and senses on what is happening in the present moment. Transitioning from a full mind, which has become the norm of modern-day lifestyles, to a mindful state immediately transforms our minds from a state of turbulence to tranquility. And when we are emotionally and mentally calm, this translates automatically into good health. Every thought is a unit of energy. The need for us to manage our inner worlds is highlighted by these startling figures, which also explain how and why our mental activity depletes us and robs us of peace, even when there may not be external stresses. The term and practice of mindfulness was popularized by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who was a professor of medicine who studied Zen Buddhism and Hatha Yoga, which he then adapted and evolved to mindfulness-based stress reduction practices. He initially used mindfulness-based practices with patients who had chronic pain. So the roots of mindfulness lie in ancient Eastern spirituality and wisdom, but was stripped of religious and spiritual connotations by Kabat-Zinn so that it could be presented as a scientific concept that could be researched and applied as a health practice and be more acceptable to the Western world. And because Western medicine subscribes only to evidence-based practices, there has been an exponential increase in the number of scientific studies on mindfulness over a relatively short period of time. Now, there's a very wide variety of mindfulness-based practices that have been used in not just healthcare settings, but also in schools and workplaces. And they have been shown to be effective for improving many medical and psychological conditions, which I have listed. Note that these are only the results of studies that were conducted. So the applications extend beyond the list here. But it's also important to know that mindfulness practices can be equally effective in maintaining our health and building resilience. Prevention is, after all, superior to cure. Note that mindfulness can also strengthen our physiology, like our immune systems, and through scientific brain scans, it has been shown that engaging in mindfulness and meditative practices can alter both your brain structure and functioning after as little as 6 to 8 weeks of practice. Now, as Hindus, we are fortunate that we did not need thousands of research papers to tell us what our saints have been practicing for centuries. So, how does mindfulness work? Now, when we are faced with any threat, the sympathetic nervous system, our fight, flight, or fright stress response, is triggered in our bodies. Now, while this is an adaptive response, most of us remain in unhealthy states of chronic stress, which then cause or worsen medical and mental disorders. Mindfulness practices, on the other hand, activate the less well-known parasympathetic nervous system, which induces the relaxation response. This is responsible for calming us down, allowing us to rest and recharge. Being able to voluntarily activate this parasympathetic nervous system, for example, through mindfulness practices, can be achieved through several ways and is a useful self-help first aid tool in counteracting the effects of bad and chronic stress. Another way mindfulness is effective is in channeling and organizing the activities of the mind, just like a magnifying glass can converge the sun's rays. This results in us being more mentally productive, more efficient, which means that we can achieve the same output but using less time and energy, which then leaves us less fatigued as well. However, mindfulness-based practices are not a panacea for everybody and everything. Firstly, there is great variation in how mindfulness is defined and practiced, which impacts on outcomes. Secondly, there are a large number of mindfulness-based techniques, meditations, and therapies which may differ in their effectiveness and practitioner competence. And finally, there are individuals for whom certain mindfulness-based activities may be distressing. Being present with unhealed traumatic memories or emotions can be destabilizing in individuals with psychological or psychiatric conditions. So they should please therefore check with a mental health professional if mindfulness is appropriate for them. Mindfulness is often equated with meditation, but the two are distinctly different practices. Meditation strictly refers to engagement in mental exercise, such as concentration on one's breathing or repetition of a mantra, for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness. And meditative practices are to be found in Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. However, meditation, like Hatha Yoga, is used in modern times for both spiritual and secular reasons. In Hinduism, Patanjali's holistic eightfold yoga path dates back 2 to 5 centuries before the Christian era and describes a comprehensive and systematic spiritual journey which includes meditation. You will note that mastering concentration, which mindfulness can help you achieve, is a stepping stone to being able to meditate. The science of breathing is called pranayama, and breathing techniques have been adapted and are widely used in mindfulness practices. Deep abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which you heard about earlier. It is therefore energizing, energy efficient, and induces a state of mental calm and peace within minutes. If you can control your breathing, you can control your mind. Such is yogic wisdom. Now, the important difference between mindfulness and meditation are summarized in this table published by the Art of Living Foundation. In the early 1900s, long before scientific studies were being conducted, Swami Shivananda, the founder of the Divine Life Society, who was also a qualified medical doctor, wrote about the benefits of meditation. Now, what better assurance can we ask for than that meditation can help to inoculate us against life's stresses? Coming back to our busy schedules, you will be encouraged to know that even a few minutes of mindful engagement in your mundane life will yield benefits. And because you are left energized and more focused, your efficiency is enhanced, leaving you time to engage in mindful practices, get all your chores done, and still have some time for fun. So seize the opportunities to lie in bed for a minute and connect with your breath. Rather than curse the traffic jams, use it as an opportunity to tune inward and recharge, and turn mundane housework and daily cooking into Zen moments. In conclusion, life presents us with multiple moments during our active days to pause and switch from an energy-draining, full mind state to an energy-conserving, mindful state. The Buddha himself declared that peace comes from within, after having lived in both a palace and as a hermit in the forest. It is my hope that you will engage with the simple practices you are going to be taught to anchor yourselves to that eternal and infinite source of inner peace residing within every one of us. Not only will it benefit your own physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, but that peaceful energy that you will generate will permeate your relationships, your homes, and your workplaces. What better gift to yourself and to the world at large? Swami Vivekananda stated that an ounce of practice is worth 1,000 pounds of theory. So I wish you all an enriching and energizing mindfulness session, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that very informative talk. I haven't received any questions in the chat box, but if anybody has a question, you're more than welcome to discuss. Are there any questions on the Facebook live stream?
No, there's none at the moment, Shruti.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
No, so I don't think we have any questions. Oh, are there? There's something in the chat. Shanta Singh. Okay. I was just wondering if Shanta Singh had a question. No. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Proceed, Shruti.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. To further explore mindfulness, we now have Ms. Jaishila Kuvaji, Executive Member of the Arya Samaj Women's Forum, who will take us through practical applications of the mindfulness technique. Jaishila is a senior social worker at a drug rehabilitation center in Durban. Julo Rehab Center is widely acclaimed for its groundbreaking techniques in the fight against addiction and pride themselves in providing holistic treatments to their patients and families. Jayshila's expertise lies in addiction counseling, relationship and family therapy, as well as trauma therapy. She is a wellness and mindfulness coach, as well as a trained hypnotherapist. Over to you, Jayshila.
Thank you. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Professor. That was very insightful about mindfulness and meditation. As the professor mentioned, that mindfulness contributes towards reducing stress, enhancing emotional regulation. It improves focus, fosters self-awareness, and it even strengthens relationships because we'll be much more calmer to be able to communicate better. It promotes better sleep and healthy living. So mindfulness is about being aware and being conscious. We need to be in the present. So there's many mindful techniques that we can use just to clear our mind, to find that peace, and to be able to deal with life's challenges. Remember, mindfulness does not take away challenges in life, but it equips us to be able to deal with these challenges appropriately. So we are going to go through 3 techniques during this webinar. But before that, I'm going to take you through a scenario. I would like everyone to sit up and listen to the scenario and place yourself within the roles or the character or characters of this case study. Divya, can we have the case study? Thank you. So as we're going through this, try and identify with the role or character of one or more people within the scenario. And then we will go through the techniques using this case study. Sunil is a 52-year-old widower who lives with his 80-year-old mother and 2 children, Arush, aged 18, and Mohini, aged 16. Sunil recently received notification from his company that he will be retrenched. Being proactive, he has decided to sell the house and move into a smaller apartment with his children. His mom is to move into an old age home. There are many stresses within this family. There are frequent arguments between mom and Sunil following the decision regarding the changed living circumstances. Mohini is struggling at school academically and socially. As we can see, the family is experiencing many challenges: financial, relationship, school difficulties, social difficulties, even changes in the roles within the family. So the first technique that we're going to apply to the scenario is journaling. Divya, can we get on to the next slide, please? So we're going to practically go through this technique. Remember, there's many variations to these techniques. So I am just showing you one variation, but you can apply it according to what you feel comfortable. Journaling is a process of writing. It's a process of letting things out from your mind. It's about being conscious. Remember, our mind is like layers of an onion. And as we're writing, we're going through the different layers of consciousness. So I would like us to take a few minutes, take our pen and paper, and let's take on the role of any character within this role play. And we have 5 minutes in which we can write out your thought, your emotions, your perceptions of the person in that role. There are prompts on the screen, which looks at I dream of, I remember, I imagine, I am grateful for. But I would also like you to look at I feel, I am, I need. let's look at what we're feeling, because when we're getting overwhelmed and stressed, we're actually overthinking. And with all the stresses this family is going through, it's easy to overthink and become worked up and overwhelmed. So we're going to take 5 minutes just to write down what are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions with regards to any of the characters from the case study. Divya, can we have some music, please? Remember, the writing should be uninterrupted. Don't worry about grammar, language, spelling. That's not important. What's important is you write things down and let all of that out. So use the space to just write all feelings and thoughts.
Just to say that the scenario is in the chat if people are wanting to look at it again.
Thank you very much. I think we can just take a few seconds just to round up what we're writing. Remember, writing is extremely powerful. It can be very therapeutic, especially if you have no one to talk to, or just making sense of our thoughts, making sense of what's going on around us. Once again, it does not change the challenges, but it will help us to be able to make better decisions with a clearer mind. Part of journaling and writing is what do we do with that after we have written? So burning the letter or burning what we've written is part of the healing process, is part of letting go. It's part of that release. So Prof mentioned in her talk about spirituality, about connecting with the higher power. It's important we connect with the higher power and burn our letters or burn what we've written. I would like to hear from you. What was your experience of writing regarding the characters, regarding the role play? What was your experience of journaling and using this technique? You can raise your hand, or you can add your comment on the chat. Anyone? Deepika?
Namaste. I think journaling helps to release the worry. And that's what I felt. It's just an outlet for your emotions, and it really helps a lot.
Yes. And when we keep things in, we're overthinking. And when we're overthinking, we become overwhelmed. And when we become overwhelmed, we get stressed out, and then we get irritable, restless, agitated, and it affects relationships around us as well. There's a hand up, Sarala.
Yeah, it's me. So Jay, I'm wondering if people would like to share their writing. Anybody, just whoever took on the role of Sunil, perhaps would like to share your writing with us, just to give us a sense of what did it feel like as you stepped into the shoes of Sunil. Just share with us and just let us know what the journaling did for you when you stepped into that role and after the journaling. Anybody?
Namaste, this is Jay. In my role as Sunil, I dreamt of peace in my family, unity within the members. He probably has feelings about his decision to put his mum in a home. He feels for his changed circumstances, the changes in his life, moving to a smaller place, the burden, and loss of income and job, remembering how perfect he was when his life was complete with his wife. I pick up, he also feels a disconnection with his son because he's an 18-year-old. He probably has lots of issues as well. But I think, on the other hand, he should realize that he has a lot to be thankful for and focus on that. His children, the fact that he has a roof over his head, and mum probably will be taken care of while in the home. And he can imagine and prepare for a new life ahead. That's my opinion or my interpretation. Thank you.
And I think you brought up a valuable point that we need to also be grateful. And when we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, we forget about the gratitude. And I think the writing process helps with that. Sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, absolutely. We really forget about being grateful and seeing the
Mm.
positive in things that we have.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions regarding this technique, regarding
No.
the characters?
Yeah, Jay, do you think anybody took on the role of Mohini? Has
I'm
anybody
not sure.
done?
Anyone taken on the role of Mohini? Or mom, even the mother?
Oh, there, Kareen has. Let's hear.
Namaste, everybody. I have taken on the role of Mohini in this scenario, and I'd like to share. So perhaps Mohini dreamt of her mum being with him during their difficult time. She remembers when things were easier and less stressful, and all her family members were happy among one another. She imagines they were happy and in a more positive space, and there were less arguments and tension around in her environment. And perhaps she's grateful for her family and at least a shelter to live under.
Yeah. So, Kareen, how do you think this technique would have helped Mohini to make sense of her thoughts and things? How do you think it would have helped her?
So perhaps instead of our minds being so busy, as Ma'am mentioned earlier, writing it down in a more chronological manner and creating these little areas of which she could have worked through it. You know, what was her perhaps, you know, emotionally she was more strained, so perhaps she would have worked through her emotional difficulties first before moving on to perhaps her social difficulties, and as an example.
Also, maybe it could be used as a communication tool. Sometimes it's not easy to share what you're feeling with people around you, especially when they're going through similar stressors as well. So if we write it down, sometimes it can be used as a tool to communicate with each other as well, so that we know what we're feeling.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yes.
Jay, we have Pandit Reshma's hands up as well. Maybe we'd like to hear from her.
Okay, Pandit Reshma. Namaste. Pandit Reshma, I think you'll have to unmute yourself.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
All right. I looked at the mother's point of view. She would have dreamt of, like growing old and being with the family, to be pampered. And in the event of her being ill, that there's somebody's going to be there, someone of her own that is going to be taking care of her during her illness. She would have been looking at all those things. She would have remembered, she would have remembered the birth of her son, his school days, his awards days, his sports days, his marriage, and all the wonderful experiences that she had with him, the joy of the grandchildren being born into the home, and the birthdays that she celebrated with them. She would remember all the delicacies that they used to enjoy eating, that she used to prepare for them. So all these things would have gone through, and she would have imagined being there at her grandchildren's wedding. It's like such a huge event, and of her being present and feeling so proud that her grandchildren are getting married. And then, and then knowing or understanding the whole the process of having to move and elsewhere, she needs to be grateful that the family took care of her all this while, and that they made proper arrangements. They didn't just shoo her out of the house. So she's got to be grateful that they did make some arrangements, that she is still continued to be taken care of. And
Yeah.
had she did journaling, then it wouldn't have been bottled up within her. She would have been
Correct.
able to express all, and offload all these emotions that is going through her.
Yeah.
And yes, and burning up that piece of paper that she's written on sort of completes it. Like it's gone now. All this negative feelings or this worry and tension that I had is now,
Yeah.
reduced to ashes.
Absolutely. And we can't change the past, nor can we predict the future. We can only be in the now. So maybe the writing can help her to accept the journey that she's been through. And it doesn't mean she's not going to be part of the family. It just means her living arrangements are different, and she can still be part of the family in a different way.
Yeah, Jay,
Yes.
Shida, I
Yes.
just want to quickly say to Pani Reshma, thank you very much for that perspective, because it's not often that we will have a perspective where the mother, the mother might feel that she's been sort of tossed aside now and all of that. So I really do like this perspective, the positive perspective that Pani Reshma has given us. And would you agree?
Yes.
Sorry, here's Vogel, Pandit Vogel. I just want to come in, just maybe just say a few words here. On the part of the mother, was journaling would definitely help, because suddenly her life was disrupted. She had a beautiful, united, loving family with grandkids and so forth. But if you have to apply this technique of focusing on the present moment and applying your mind to that, without being judgmental, then you would understand the situation properly. And I think you would actually be able to adapt to that situation. So yes, I think, as some speaker just said right now, you are not going to leave the family totally. You'll be going to a home, and the life there will be different. But applying all the techniques that we've spoken about, it will definitely help you to adapt. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's about accepting. This is what we have, and finding peace, that I can't change anything around. I can't change anything. And that's what it's about, finding peace and moving on. Any other comments or questions?
We have a hand by Ma'am Singh.
Okay. I think there's a comment which says journaling can be a therapeutic practice that helps people manage their emotions, reduce stress, and improve their overall mental health. Journaling also increases self-awareness and can help people reflect on their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and gain a better understanding of themselves. Absolutely. That's well put. I think it summarizes everything with regards to journaling.
Hi,
Okay.
Namaste. Singh.
Namaste.
Thank you very much. What a beautiful session and topic. Just a few thoughts when I think about the mother and what's happening, in the current situation. I spend a lot of time going around to some of the retirement homes. Very important if this could be filtered down to the mothers that are in situations, because when this particular incident happens, parents are not ready for it. They do not see it like we're discussing it now in a forum where we all have different perspectives and we'd like to think what we would have done in that situation. They don't have that option. It happens so quickly. Their focus is now, I've been deserted. Their thoughts are different. So, when we think about it and we think about it in terms of how we could handle this, it is so different when it actually happens in real life. So thank you very much. And I'm sure on this forum, many of us that do already engage with the mothers that are in these facilities would look at how we can try and help them to see things in a different light. You're already there now, and you need to focus on, you know, having a peace of mind and making it work for you. Some children still engage very much with their parents, and some children actually do desert them there. So across our culture, across diversity of people we deal with, everybody has a different story. But thank you very much for this. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments.
Can I open the floor for any last questions or comments before we wrap up? Okay, I think we've addressed all questions and comments.
Okay.
Jay, thank you so much for that presentation and that interactive session.
Thanks. We're going to move on to the next technique now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Shruti?
Do you want me to introduce the demo or?
No, we're going to do the breathing now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so the next technique we're going to look at and that we're going to practice is focused breathing. We all breathe. We have to breathe to be alive, but we need to be conscious and aware of our breathing. Breathing is one of the most simplest, but yet most powerful technique that can help to bring our focus back to the now, to center ourselves, and to calm ourselves down, which helps us thereafter to be able to take further actions and take further steps. So we're going to try this focused breathing activity. I would like everybody to please sit up straight with your back straight and focus on your breathing. With every out breath, let's imagine any thoughts, any negativity that we have just floating away. And with every in-breath, let's take in peace and relaxation and calm. Okay, so let's try this breathing, which is the 4-4-6 technique. Just a reminder, there's various variations with regards to breathing as well. So you can use what you're comfortable with. Okay, so let's sit up straight. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Sit in a comfortable position, breathe in. I'm going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth to the count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to count. This time, focus on your breathing. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth to count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to try this again, but this time I'm not going to count. You're going to count for yourself. Sit up straight, take a deep breath in. Breathe in. Hold your breath. Exhale. Let's do it one more time. Thank you, Divya. So can we get some comments with regards to your experience in doing this focused breathing? Remember, this also helps with anxiety and panic attacks. So as soon as you feel yourself getting anxious, or even if the taxi driver cuts in front of you, we need to practice those 4-4-6. It's not easy, but it will help calm ourselves down and center ourselves. So can we get some comments with regards to your experience?
Reggie Maestri has their hand up.
Thank you very much. I do facilitate this, and I do believe, and I've seen many people respond that it does give a lot of calmness, because I experience the same as well. And I think that's a very good comment about anyone cutting in front of you. This is one of the tools you could use instead of bringing more anxiety to yourself by, thinking about thoughts that's negative and want to respond in a negative manner. Rather, take the tools, use it for your benefit itself. It'll be less stress end of the day. So it's a very good system. But I just wanted to find out, because as you mentioned, there's various different breathing systems itself. And because you got the 4-4-4-4, the system as well. What is the benefit of the 4-4-6 system? Could you please explain?
So remember, I said there's various variations, right? The 4-4-6, it's a longer exhale. So the variations, it will have the same impact, but the exhale is where you're letting out. It's a bit of a longer exhale where you're feeling that release. You can try it and you can feel the difference there, but I think it's the longer release.
No, I did try it, and definitely it is, because breathing in is very simple, very much easier for everyone. Breathing out is a much more difficult process, because everyone exhales faster than they breathe in. So yes, bringing it
and
to
we
6.
Hold things in. Yeah.
Yes, bringing it to 6, breathing out is more appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding the breathing technique? What was your experience? Were you feeling calmer after the breathing? Corinne?
Yes, definitely. I felt a lot more calmer, lighter, and more of a clear mind, a clear head to make more informed decisions.
Yeah.
Going
And
forward.
we can combine techniques as well, Corinne. As you said, you feel more calmer and focused. And after this, maybe we can look at writing things down and talking to someone and taking further action.
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you.
So Jay, I'm not sure if Shanta's hand is up. Is it a comment you have, Shanta, to the breathing, or is it an old hand?
Let me remove it. Sorry, I think it's the old one. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you. I think Deepika's written a comment. This breathing exercise gives you a few more seconds to think about how you want to react to a situation. Absolutely, Deepika. I think also we react and respond without thinking sometimes, and then we regret what we did or said. So this helps us to take those 2 steps back and then respond in an appropriate way. Okay. I think we can move on to the next technique. So the next technique is a demonstration of Mindfulness app. Just before we go on with that, just so you know, there's various I think Prof mentioned meditation. So there's different types of meditation. Adult coloring is a type of meditation. Crosswords, anything that brings focus to your prefrontal cortex is important. But there's many mindfulness apps available which are free that we can use to help calm and center ourselves and then focus on our breathing while we're listening to these to the music. And there's even guided meditations for children and adults that we can access. But I'm going to hand you over to Sarala, who's going to demonstrate this mindfulness app.
Okay. Deepika, is that a hand? Do you have a question before I start? A comment?
No, that's it's sorted. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right. So yeah, so thank you, Jay, and thank you, Suvira. So I just want to quickly say that you know, we shared quite a few tools today. But because we're in this era of technology, I think we must also then access what technology has to offer for us. And herein, I want to talk to you about, or just basically give you an example of an app, a mindfulness app that I have found and have found very useful. And there are many, many, many such apps available. So the app that I would like to just demonstrate to you just now is called the Mindfulness Coach, which is a free app, and it's you can access this on Google Play Store or from the Apple App Store. Okay, so what I've done is I've just created a little video on how you can actually access the app. And so while the video plays, I'm just going to just add some comment to it. Divya, can you just start the video, please? All right, so this would be the Mindfulness Coach app, and this is what you'll find on Google Play Store. It tells you how to use the app, so it gives you instructions on how to use the app in the navigation panel. It then tells you about mindfulness training, and it talks to you about what mindfulness really is, the benefits, what is seated practice. It gives you different categories in terms of tracking progress and how to actually go about the practice of mindfulness, right? So for instance, under the Practice Now category, it gives you a whole range of mindfulness awareness that you could engage with, like having an awareness of the body, for instance, awareness of breath. So we talked just now about being aware of your breathing, but you could become aware of your senses. You have mindful eating, mindful listening, mindful walking, anything that matters to you is what you can get clarity and focus on. All right, so it's all here on this app. Like I said, it's called the Mindfulness Coach. I'm just going to show you how this works. This is the seated practice. This is a 5-minute seated practice. And I'm just going to show you exactly what's on this app. So just take a listen.
Please take a comfortable seat with your eyes closed, or gently cast your eyes downward and focus softly on a point a few feet in front of you. Rest your hands on your thighs with your palms facing up or down. Feel free to modify the position to fit the current needs of your body and mind. Now gently become aware of your body, bringing non-judgment in and out of your body.
I've just moved it along, but basically it does exactly what Jay has asked us to do, but on this guided platform. Just in the interest of time, I just moved it along. All right, let's see what's next. Yeah. So so this then was this was a seated practice, but like I said, and you can actually use it, you can actually progress this depending from a time perspective. So you can start off with 2 minutes and then it can go on to 5 minutes for longer duration. The app then also gives you an opportunity to track to track your progress. It gives you an opportunity to look at how you are improving in the in terms of the goals that you're set. So you can actually start off by setting a particular goal for yourself, and then you can actually take an assessment of the status of your current status of mindfulness, and based on that you can actually then set a goal, then practice, and then track your logs. Just again, it becomes a process for building expertise. All right, so that's an app. A mindfulness coach is the app that I just wanted to share with you today. I found this extremely useful and it's free. But when you go onto the Google Play Store, you actually can just type in free mindfulness apps, and there's a whole host of them. So there really is a repository of apps that you can access. Okay, I think I'm done. Do you have any questions on the app for myself, for Jay? Unfortunately, Professor Ramlal had to leave. But if you have any questions, we're available for another minute or two to respond to them. Yes, Visheka, namaste.
Namaste, Sarela Pien. Just a comment. Somebody had a query about the formula of the breathing in, the 446, I think it was. From the little knowledge that I have of the breathing techniques, when we look at the lungs, you breathe in and we don't fully breathe out. So what we are doing is we are holding on to toxins. The lungs do release about 70% of your body's toxins if we breathe correctly. The important thing is to breathe correctly. And the lung is where we hold on or we let go. So the extra breathing out, 4 in and 6 out, is necessary to let go of the toxins, and a lot of our spent emotions are a major part of our toxins. So I hope that helps a bit in understanding why we breathe out a bit more than breathing in. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Visheka. Also, just to know that from a physiological point of view, your expiration ought to be longer than your inspiration, okay, in terms of bodily functions. And what happens is that when you're in a state of anxiety or stress, the physiological function is reversed. You tend to breathe in quicker. Think about you being in a stress state. You're breathing in quicker. You're breathing in shorter. So you're actually reversing a normal physiological process, which should be keeping you in a balanced state. But because the stress position is now reversing the process for you to breathe in quicker and longer rather than breathing out longer. Get it? Okay. All right. So I'll just stop there. Varsha, your hands up.
Namaste. I really enjoy the Women's Forum webinars because it's not only applications of what you can do personally, but what the entire family can do. And what I'm finding is that our children are increasingly, their minds are full and they are not mindful of a lot of things. So I think something like the journaling would be really useful for the younger children and the younger folk in our family. And something like the breathing technique, perhaps when the children are doing homework, to help them focus a bit more. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Varsha. Thank you for that comment. I think what we've done today is that actually we've just given you snapshots of really powerful techniques. And perhaps what we ought to do is actually dedicate a session. I'm just looking at the comments, I'm looking at the response to this webinar, and I'm just wondering whether a session itself, just on the technique of journaling and deepening the technique of journaling, so we have the effect it is meant to produce, would be more valuable. And if you think that is the case, so we're going to have a poll that will come up, an evaluation of the session. Please give us your comments as the poll goes up now. Before I do that, Shruti, have I taken on your role? I'm so sorry. This is Shruti's space. Shruti,
No, not at all.
sorry.
Not at all. Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at the end of our program for today. Firstly, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to Professor Suvira, who without any hesitation accepted our request to participate today and share such wonderful insight with us. You've really reminded us on how important it is to be mindful. We extend our gratitude today to the Arya Samaj administration and Radio Hindwani, as well as all of you who shared our invite on social media. I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of the ladies of the Arya Samaj Women's Forum executive team. In particular, Dr. Ramklas, Jaishila Kuvaji, Varsha Bogle, Deepika Da Costa, Kareen Dhani, and Sunita Basant. In addition, I'd also like to thank our tech assistant, Divya Ramklas, for putting together an amazing video as our introduction. The video highlighted some of the events and projects that we've hosted in the past. Thank you, Divya. Thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for making the time to be with us on this Sunday morning. We really look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. As we conclude today, a survey, a poll should pop up onto your screen. We ask that you please take a minute of your time to complete this. Your feedback is so important to us. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful Sunday.
And thanks to you, Shruti, for being such a beautiful host. Thank you kindly.
Of course.
Are we going to communicate the results, Shruti? Oh, who has it? Yeah.
I don't have it. I think the admin will have it.
Okay.
Divya might have
Divya?
access to it.
Divya, can you just communicate the results of the poll, please?
So with regards to the first question, did you benefit from the discussion? We've had 100% of people say yes. And then would you like to host similar events in the future? 93% have responded with yes and 7% with no. And was the topic of the webinar suitably covered? Everyone has said yes.
All right. So
there's just one more question that I think I'm sure a lot of people want to know. Will Professor Ramlal's PowerPoint be available? And if not, how can we get access to that information?
All right. So maybe I'll respond to that. So this webinar has been recorded, and you will find a link to the recording of this webinar, which will include the PowerPoints, will include the exercises and everything that has happened here on YouTube. So please look for the link on YouTube. So it will be under the Arya Samaj Women's Forum Mindfulness webinar. Look for that link on YouTube. All right. Thank you very much. Shruti, thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
All right. Thanks, Shruti. Take care. Goodbye.